Hey there, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that affects so many people. The really tangled relationship between depression and anxiety. They can feel like two sides of the same coin, right? So let's get into what makes them similar, what makes them different, and most importantly, how to navigate them.
I mean, does this sound familiar to you? That feeling of being pulled in two different directions at the same time? Your mind is just racing with all these what-ifs about tomorrow, but at the exact same moment, your heart feels so heavy with stuff from yesterday. It's a really common but super confusing way to feel.
And if that sounds like you are so far from being alone. Seriously, a study back in 2017 found that a massive 71.7% of people who have depression also experience anxiety. So what that tells us is that this overlap, it isn't just a feeling. It's an incredibly common reality for a ton of people.
Okay, so let's dive into that. In this first part, we're going to explore exactly why these two conditions are so often found hanging out together. What's at the heart of this tangled connection?
This whole experience is so recognized, it actually has a name: mixed anxiety and depressive disorder. Now, a quick note, it isn't a formal diagnosis in the main guide that clinicians use, the DSM-5, but it perfectly describes that feeling of being stuck right in the middle, feeling the weight of both conditions at once.
So what's causing this overlap? Well, what's really fascinating here is that they often grow from the very same soil. Both anxiety and depression can be traced back to similar things, like our genetics, our brain chemistry, the long-term effects of chronic stress or trauma, even other medical conditions can play a role. So really, it's no wonder they so often show up as a pair.
So we know they share the same roots, but here's where it gets interesting. Despite all that common ground, anxiety and depression create totally different mental landscapes. They actually shape your thoughts and your attention in very distinct ways, focusing your mind on completely different timelines.
And this right here, this illustrates the key difference perfectly. Think of it like this. Depression often acts like a rear-view mirror. It keeps pulling your focus back to past mistakes, old regrets, and how sad you feel right now. Anxiety, though, that's more like a pair of high-powered binoculars that are permanently fixed on the future, just scanning the horizon for any potential threat or danger.
This difference in time focus leads to really different thought patterns. With suppression, you get what's called rumination. It's like a broken record is stuck in your head, replaying negative memories over and over, reinforcing feelings of worthlessness. Anxiety, on the other hand, is driven by worry. It's like a frantic spotlight, constantly searching for danger, with a never-ending stream of what-if questions.
And get this actually affects what our brains even choose to notice in the world around us. With depression, there's a memory bias. Your brain gets weirdly good at pulling up negative memories. With anxiety, it's an attention bias. Your perception is kind of skewed in real time to spot any potential threat in your immediate surroundings, often completely ignoring all the positive or neutral stuff.
So how do these really different ways of thinking actually feel in your body and your mind? Let's break down some of the classic symptoms that come from these very different internal worlds.
For anxiety, the main feeling is one of being constantly revved up, like you're always switched on. It's that excessive fear, that feeling of being on edge that you just can't shake, the physical tension in your shoulders or your jaw, and a mind that's so busy worrying that it's tough to concentrate or even get to sleep at night. Depression, though, often feels like the total opposite. It's more of a shutdown. Is that persistent sadness or feeling of emptiness, losing interest in things you used to love, this deep-down fatigue and heavy feelings of guilt. And hey, notice how problems concentrating is on both lists? It's for totally different reasons, though. With anxiety, it's because of worry. With depression, it's usually because of apathy and just having no energy.
Okay, I know that all sounds pretty heavy, but understanding the differences is key, because the most important part is knowing there are really effective ways to manage all of this. So let's shift our focus to the paths toward feeling better, because help is absolutely available. Usually, the best strategy is what you could call a three-part game plan. First, you've got psychotherapy, especially something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which helps you spot and change the thought patterns we've been talking about. Second, there's medication, like certain antidepressants, that can be prescribed to help rebalance your brain chemistry. And finally, lifestyle changes. These are the things that create a strong foundation for your mind and body. The real magic happens when all three work together.
And let's just pause on therapy for a second. The evidence for cognitive behavioral therapy is incredibly strong. This isn't just about talking about your feelings. It's a super practical, skills-based approach that gives you actual tools to challenge the rumination of depression and the constant worry of anxiety. It really empowers you to change the relationship you have with your own thoughts.
And on top of professional treatment, please never underestimate the power of these daily habits. Things like consistent sleep, good nutrition, and regular exercise are like the pillars of mental health. Limiting stuff that can make you feel more anxious, like caffeine, practicing simple calming techniques, and just talking to someone you trust, these are all real, actionable things you can do to support yourself.
This brings us to our last, and honestly, maybe our most critical section. Knowing that you can get help is one thing. Knowing when and how to actually reach out for it is the all-important next step.
So what's the sign? When is it time? It's actually a pretty simple rule of thumb. If your symptoms are starting to get in the way of your daily life, your work, your relationships, your ability to just take care of yourself, that's the sign. You don't have to wait for things to become a crisis. If it's interfering with your life, it's time to talk to a professional.
And please know this. If you are in a crisis or you're worried about someone else, help is available right now. You can call or text the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It is free, it's confidential, and it's there for you 24/7. You are not alone in this, and there are people ready to listen and to help.
So, as we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this question. It doesn't have to be some huge, giant leap. Maybe it's just taking a 5-minute walk outside. Maybe it's doing one deep breathing exercise. Or maybe it is making that call. What is one small, totally manageable step you can take for yourself right now?